Hey guys, welcome back to an interesting video on Wild Rift. So today we're back with a Nilah updated complete guide for patch 6.0 D+. And we haven't done Nilah basically this entire patch cycle, being from 6.0 onwards. I believe we did do a Nilah jungle one, so if you guys haven't checked that out yet, please do. And also, don't forget to check out Nilah's basic guide that I'll put up in the cards above for her skills, leveling order tips and tricks, as well as a couple of combos. But without further ado, let's hop straight into talking about her items, her runes, and her spells. So her build has actually changed a little bit. And by a little bit, I really mean just a little bit. So first up, what remains the same: Gluttonous Greaves as the first item, AD, Omnivam, standard stuff. Another standard item, Bloodthirster, huge amount of AD, physical Vam, and bonus stats when you're high on health. And the new addition here is actually going to be second item, Navori Quick Blades. Now, Navori Quick Blades obviously allows you to get your cooldowns back more quickly. Now, this is mostly useful for your W and your E, especially your W, because obviously your E has its own cooldown reduction mechanic when you auto. Your Q has a very low cooldown anyways, so it's really good for your W. However, this item is only good in instances where you can actually hit, and what I mean by that is if you're playing into like a full range team. Navori sucks because you can never really hit people and reduce cooldown, but if you're playing into a team with a lot of melees, like I will be in the match later on, this is actually an insane item. If you're playing into a full range team, it's better to go for Shield Bow first and then into Bloodthirster second and follow the rest of the build. So next item, IE, of course giving you extra damage, extra AD, as well as extra crit damage, and then of course more reminder for the armor pen and grievous wounds. Last item, very flexible, but here I just put a default Death's Dance. Obviously Nilah is a melee champion that fully benefits from Death's Dance, but of course you can go for a lot of other items as well. You have your Steric's Gauge, you have your Spirit Visage. Now, Spirit Visage is actually a low-key great item on Nilah because it increases your healing and shielding, right? And by the time you reach your last item, you have a lot of healing and you have a lot of shielding. So actually, Spirit Visage is an insane item, against heavy magic damage when built on Nilah. So this is against heavy magic damage, of course against heavy physical damage. Twin Guard also possible, Steric's also possible. A lot of good items. So now for the runes, I actually like taking Fleet on Nilah majority of the time. And the reason why that is the case, because her laning phase, she suffers a lot majority of the time. So getting Fleet for the lane, for the healing in lane and for the movement speed is actually very useful. Normally take Gathering Storm here. Let's see what the top players are taking. Yeah, they're taking Gathering Storm as well for the most part, because you're not really able to auto attack a whole lot as Nilah, right? Because you're melee into range, so most of the time you can't auto attack all that much. So just getting extra AD from Gathering Storm is pretty much the best way to go. And then here we have Giant Slayer just for the anti-tank, and then we have Alacrity for more attack speed, and here, most crucially, we have Second Wind. Now, Second Wind is very critical for lane because you're a melee champion that gets double the effects from Second Wind, so this is very important because when you get hit, it gives you a lot of healing, a lot of sustain. Let's see what other people are taking. One of it is jungle. They're actually going for Overgrowth and Sudden Impact. I think those are horrible runes to, they're not horrible runes to take, right? But the most optimal rune to take is Second Wind. Second Wind is amazing on Nilah. For the spells, we go for Flash together with whatever you need. Normally it's going to be like Cleanse, Barrier, or Exhaust. So anyways, with all that out the way, let's move on to talking about her gameplay. Okay, so of course, as usual, before we take a look at the gameplay, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Any questions, queries, or remarks, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Of course, I'll be sure to address them. So, Nilah, of course, is a counter pick. You never want to first pick Nilah, you never want to pick Nilah blind, because this opens you up to getting a horrible matchup. Now, horrible matchups can be things like Caitlyn, or you can give the enemy a free lane to scale, right? So champions like Jinx, for example, are get a free lane to scale, things like that. So you really want to pick Nilah at the minimum when you're against two auto attack based champions. So auto attack based champions are champions like obviously almost every ADC, champions like Tryndamere, champions like Jax, Yasuo, Yone. Irelia here is a heavy auto attack champion as well. So into at least two of these kind of champions, generally it's like the ADC and maybe the mid laner or the jungler. So for example, ADC plus Yasuo mid, or ADC plus Tryndamere jungle, or Tryndamere top, things like that. Minimally, you want to have two auto attackers on the enemy team to make Nilah a good pick. right? If you're against 3, Nilah becomes amazing, right? So if you're against like Kai'Sa, Yasuo jungle, Yasuo mid lane, Tryndamere jungle, amazing Nilah position, right? I mean, obviously the dream is something like, I don't know, Jack's top, Tryndamere jungle, Yasuo mid, all that kind of good stuff, right? And as a bonus, if you're playing against a melee team, it's even better, right? Because one of Nilah's biggest problems is she's a melee champion herself, so she needs to close the gap and get on top of the enemy champions to do damage. Now, if you're playing into a full range team, borderline unplayable, right? Even if you're playing into like a 5 ADC team and you can immune the auto attacks, I think it's borderline unplayable, right? So what you really want is you want to be playing into melee champions. So you can see in this game, it's actually a really, really good Nilah game. Because firstly, there's 2 auto attackers, Kai'Sa as well as Irelia. And secondly, there are 4 melee champions, right? You have, obviously, Darius is melee, Nunu, Irelia, as well as Blitzcrank. And Kai'Sa, obviously, is our ranged champion. However, Kai'Sa is the kind of champion that likes to ult in and get close to you. So, while not a melee champion, it's not like a Caitlyn or that or Jinx, like a hyper carry champion that is gonna stand far at the back and you're never gonna be able to hit. So this is pretty much one of the best kind of team comps you can fight as Nilah already. And here I spot the enemy trying to back. I'm trying to cancel the Kai'Sa's back. I actually don't get it. But Blitzcrank actually cancels his back on his own accord to try to hook me. So we actually ruined the tempo of Blitzcrank. Great. And yeah. So honestly, in this match, right, I actually think Nilah plays very, very well into non-poke lanes. So into all-in lanes, Nilah plays very well. And in this game, that's kind of what we have, which is like a Blitzcrank and a Kai'Sa. So they kind of want to all-in you by Blitzcrank hooking you, and then Kai'Sa using everything she has on you while you're hooked. Things like that. She plays really poorly into poke lane. So think of champions like Caitlyn, Jinx, Ashe, high range poke champions, and a lot of enchanters like Lux, Seraphine, Karma. All of these lanes are lanes Nilah struggles with. So into like of course into like all-in lanes like Draven with like Nilah or Liana, it is difficult, but I still think it's better than getting poked out by enemy poke champions. I think having an all-in lane is easier to play, and that's kind of what we have in this game. So as I was trying to say, like, this is pretty much almost the ideal kind of game for Nilah, right? You have 4 melee champions, you have a non-poke lane as your enemy, you have 2 auto attack champions, so pretty much no better Nilah spot than this game that is realistic to kind of find, right? So something you will notice in this game is we do make quite a number of good plays, but Nilah is a champion that scales like a truck, right? And what I mean by that is, in the early game, you're really very useless, right? You can hit a 5-man ult, you can stand there and auto attack like 5 people who get stunned by a move, but you really are very useless like at 1 to 2 items. At the minimum, you need 3 items to be useful, and at 4 items, you suddenly become like the best champion in the game. Like, that's a little bit of an exaggeration, but it's just hyperbole, right? So, like, when you reach like 4 items, as Soraka here tries to bait for a move, but instead ends up just getting hooked in 1 shot. So when you reach like 4 items, 5 items in the game, you become really, really strong. And like you can carry the game super duper hard. But the main issue is that before that point, you kind of suck. So here we get into a very huge fight. You can see I hit a 3-man ult here. I try to save Amumu. Amumu goes back in, and here I'm trying to trade kills. It's now 2v4, but we do have a tower. Irelia tanking tower here. I flash in. I get knocked out by Blitzcrank. I'm taking a lot of damage. I finally kill Irelia. I'm going on to Blitzcrank. I'm not able to complete the kill, and Kai'Sa now 1 HP running for the hills. Probably gonna die here. Amumu runs her down and picks up the kill. And so in 1 items, 2 items, you're really useless. 3 items is kind of where you start to get useful, and 4 items is where you can start to carry. So kind of regardless of whether you play Nilah in the jungle or in the ADC role, it's always this kind of case, right? I've played countless games where as a Nilah I'm like 10k gold down, but I reach like 4 items in the game and suddenly I'm just winning fights, right? That's kind of how Nilah is like really balanced in the game. She's really weak at like lower item numbers, but at higher item numbers she just becomes so strong. So here there is a contest of dragon. Enemy team gets it. My team is going for the herald. And enemy team is trying to reach the herald and steal it from my team, but hopefully my team is going to be able to get it. We do, and we're able to push in the lane as well. So if I recall, the main reason why I'm bringing up this point is, if I recall, I remember in this game, we actually only hit 4 items very, very late into the game, and as a result, we end up not doing very much damage in the game itself. But the Riot still gave me like an A rating if I'm not mistaken. And even though we did very little damage, I think we still played very well. And I still think that this is a very good showcase of how you should play Nilah and what team you should play Nilah into. Although we don't like carry the game super hard or anything like that, as Soraka gets hooked again and gets killed again. I try to save her with the W, which did help for a while, but she ends up dying anyways. So yeah. Definitely not an easy game, even though it's a very kind of ideal game, right? But no Nilah game is easy, right? Because the fact that you're playing a melee ADC, so it's never really going to be easy. So here, Blitzcrank definitely hunting for a hook against me, doesn't quite get anything. I'm just going to recall here, I think maybe complete my Bloodthirster. Yeah, we do get the Bloodthirster completion, so one item, in the pocket. Obviously, even though, as I said, at one item you're not the most useful, but it's definitely still going to be a spike, right? Getting a completed item is always going to be a spike for the ADC. And yeah, so obviously in this game we have 4 melee champions, so Navori is amazing in this game. We can easily attack, the 4 of them and easily proc Navori. I actually fat finger my W here, so didn't mean to press W there. Hopefully we don't get punished for not having W. So I haven't really talked about Nilah's support pairings, right? So Nilah kind of works well with any support, right? Because the main logic is, if you have engage, you can jump in and follow up on the engage. If you have like a enchanter, like Soraka, they can heal you and shield you, making your lane a little bit easier to play. And also, if you have an aggressive enchanter like Nami, for example, they can help you out in the laning phase by putting pressure on the enemy team through that poke and making it a little bit easier for you to play the lane, right? So essentially, she kind of works well with everybody. I kind of like Soraka though, especially when you have a poke lane as your opponent, because she can heal you back up. In this particular lane, it's not the most useful because we're against an all-in lane and not a poke lane. But yeah, so here we see Irelia and Nunu in the enemy jungle. Soraka's getting caught out a little bit. We are trying our best to help out. It becomes a huge team fight. We get a 2-man ulti. We get exhausted, stun, everything. We have to cleanse out of it, and we're trying our best to whack enemy champions. Nunu goes down, Kai'Sa flashes the wall, Amumu flashes the follow. I'm really not sure I want to follow that one, because we're going to be way behind enemy lines here, and Amumu's getting 1v3, but he's really tanking. Here I actually see that they're actually low enough here, so I'm going for Blitzcrank, going for the kill on him, flash over, kill him, and then we can go for Kai'Sa next. We're going to kill her, and she has a shutdown. As you can see, we get 600 gold. So in this case, I think this is a calculated death, right, where I chose to trade for the lives of the Kai'Sa as well as the Blitzcrank, because I knew Kai'Sa had a shutdown, so if I can get the kill on her and get the shutdown, that's going to be a worth it trade for me. Of course, Amumu also died, so in the end it's like a 2 for 2. Or I think Soraka died as well, right? So this is like a 3 for 2, but we did get the shutdown, so I think that in terms of my own economy, I think definitely this was still an okay trade. Now here Heimerdinger has gone bot, right? And as a result, his mid lane has a huge wave accruing. So what I'm doing here is I'm playing the macro game, and I'm going mid to clear his wave, and he's staying bot to clear my wave. So we don't waste time like with him walking mid and me walking bot, when he could just stay bot and I could walk mid, and then we could all benefit from getting gold. So in this case, that wave has actually given me enough gold to complete my Navori, so I actually back and pick up my Navori here, putting me at 2 items. Of course, getting slowly towards that 3 item and 4 item power spike. So now Heimerdinger obviously needs to recall to spend his money, so I'm gonna take over the lane again. Kai'Sa here tries to back. We are going in on her just to cancel her back. And honestly, I think at this point, a 1v1 with me and Kai'Sa will actually be pretty close, right? Because she's actually at 1 item with components. And I'm actually at 2 items. And she has Ignite, and I have Cleanse. So I can cleanse her Ignite. And it'll be a pretty even one, in my opinion. So here, huge fight over the dragon. Amumu gets hit by pretty much everything. He's trying his best to make his way into the pit. I'm just free hitting onto Irelia here. I get a 3-man ulti because Irelia died. It's like a 3-man ulti. Unfortunately, I believe no one is actually escaping with 1 HP. Everybody actually ends up dying except the jungle and as well as Kai'Sa who have run away. Now Kai'Sa now under tower, outplaying, getting the kill onto the Soraka, and looks like she's now going for Amumu. Amumu tries to go back in, but honestly they have overchased here, and Kai'Sa ends up picking up 2 free kills. Like, we did not need to chase this this Kai'Sa. And there ends up being a fight in the chat over this, where basically Amumu was basically complaining about why did myself and Heimerdinger not follow. And then Heimerdinger was like, why did we chase? And Amumu was just like, why not? So, I mean, who really wins the argument there? But anyways, it is what it is, and Amumu basically ends up dying, and Heimerdinger and myself end up not following the play, and we are obviously alive. Now I'm just finding farm wherever I can. I'm gonna back and pick up probably my BF sword. Obviously BF sword for the AD, nothing to scoff at. Huge buy. I mean, BF sword is like 1500 gold, and it's one of the most efficient mid-tier items you could get in the game. Now here you can see I'm starting to do damage to the waves already. Right, so definitely kind of getting there, you know, 2.5 items, almost at the 3 item breakpoint that I was kind of alluding to earlier. Here Kai'Sa gets caught by Amumu. I'm trying to follow, and I am able to eventually follow with my ulti. I end up killing Kai'Sa while she's in invis, just guessing kind of where she was. Blitzcrank hooks me and actually helps me out big time by helping me close the distance, because I actually couldn't reach him being a melee champion. He actually helps me out by hooking me towards him and helping me close the gap. So I guess it's one instance of where Blitzcrank hook ends up backfiring, and it's really easy for Blitzcrank hook to backfire. Because obviously you don't necessarily always want to hook everybody, especially melee champions. You don't want to hook. Like, you don't want to hook Amumu. You don't want to hook me. I mean, you kind of want to hook range champions. So really, his main hook target in this match is probably going to be Soraka, right? Because he's not really going to be able to hit Heimerdinger with the hook if Heimerdinger plays properly, stands behind his tower, and plays safe, right? So he has been hooking Soraka quite a number of times. So he has been doing that, but he definitely doesn't want to hook some champions. So here, there's a contest from Irelia and Nunu. Now Nunu really has nowhere to run. It's just who gets the kill. Jax gets it, and yeah. So here our fight ends up breaking out here. I don't think this is a very good fight. Darius stacking up, actually flashes away. Now if I was Darius, I would just auto attack one more time, get that stack, and flash in with my Q and get the stats onto everybody. But he ends up running instead. Now the fight re-engages. Huge ult by Amumu. I'm going in with my own ult. I actually probably shouldn't have double dashed. I probably should have dashed once into the ulti there. Blitzcrank gets stunned. I auto attack him, pick up the kill. And everybody is dead with the exception of the Irelia. Here just life stealing off of the enemy camps, while also kind of stealing farm, I guess you could say. We secure the mid lane tower, I think. There we go. And here, once again, we're just hitting. I mean, they're all melee, so they kind of have to be close to me, so we're just free hitting onto them. And at this point, we've gone 2 inhibitors already. I think we should reset, but I actually think I'm making a mistake here. I think, actually, we could have ended the game here, but I actually reset instead of ending the game. So I kind of inted there, because obviously, you know, if you can end, you always want to end. You don't, yeah, I mean, there's no need to reset if you can just end the game, right? So anyways, here we hit 3.5 items, so obviously we're definitely doing damage now, but it's kind of really late into the game already in the sense that it's like 14 minutes in the game, and we pretty much would have won the game at that point. So I think, if I recall correctly, like as I mentioned just now, I think I do quite little damage by the end of the game, and that's really because I'm not really hitting my item spikes quick enough, but it's really difficult to do that, right? So in games that last like 25 minutes or so, Nilah's damage generally is very high because she hits that breakpoint and then she starts carrying. Now here is a case where we're doing the dragon, right? And this is denying the enemy team's Ocean Soul. And here, all 5 of us are here, but we all have different ideas of what we want to do. So Heimerdinger, you can see, has set up all his turrets in the enemy blue buff area. He clearly wants to fight in this area because all his towers are here, right? He set up his towers here. I mean, they're getting removed by Kai'Sa, right? And my Jax is doing my Jax and jungler are doing the dragon. So here, 3 of us are trying to distract the enemy team and perhaps get some kills. I actually take a lot of damage, but I end up eventually dying. And then Jax goes in for the cleanup. We do deny the soul by picking up the dragon. Jax going in. Kai'Sa nowhere to run and can't kill Jax because of the helicopter, the counter strike. And Irelia now running for the hills. As is Darius trying to clear the wave on the opposite side of the map. Amumu flashing in onto the Irelia, stuns up the Irelia. Jax follows up with a flash of his own. Irelia eventually falls, and we have a mid wave, so we should be able to end on that mid wave. I'm not sure what these two are doing. Darius trying to do something, hooks in the Jax. I'm not sure if he even wants that. Jax now whacking the Darius. Yeah, ult goes in, kills the Darius, I believe. There we go. gets another tower for good measure, and hopefully ends the game. Enemy team now respawning. They can't end the game because they chose to go for that last inhibitor instead. So I think a little bit in from them as well. Amumu tanking out a lot of damage, but it's just the 2 tanks for now. Kai'Sa is now making her way in. Myself and Soraka also making our way in. Soraka gets hooked, unfortunately. But Blitzcrank, no follow-up. We end up murdering the Kai'Sa, who's the main damage. And Nunu and Blitzcrank doesn't have damage at this point. We finish off the kill. We tank 2 Nexus tower shots, take a lot of damage there. And here I'm less lifestealing off of the minions. I can tank another Nexus tower shot, that's bad. I realize that goes in. It's just gonna die because she's a little bit too close to me, and I actually do damage now. So here, now we're gonna try to pick up this minion wave to push it in, as well as once again to lifesteal. So look at the lifesteal, by the way. And we really need to end the game here. Like we are mucking about too much. We really need to end the game. It's 1 HP, so I'm just gonna dash in, auto attack, and get the victory there. So I'm gonna leave you guys with the stats as usual. Thank you so much for watching the video, and goodbye.